All right, you guys. So I did some test flights on different data processes out there, and I just want to kind of share that with you. First thing I used was, of course, P4D, and I used P4D with different aircraft. Haven't done it with the Inspire yet, but I'm sure the results are going to be outstanding, and I'll do that later. So I did several flights on different days. You can see how many images I used. In some cases, I used the same images to process. But you can see where I did the Mavic and the Phantom 4 Pro. Both of those actually came out at 120 feet with the same exact pictures, number of pictures. I think that the processing time that you can see there at 120 feet was pretty good. Keep in mind the Mavic is a 16 megapixel. The Phantom 4 is a 20 megapixel, but pretty much flew at the same speed, so on and so forth. Tried to see if the quality was a little bit different, which I found out that it was. The 4 Pro came down to, I flew it at 60 feet. Of course, more overlap or more images were needed for the same amount of area. You can see the difference in processing time. And then, of course, flight time, that's pretty much insignificant. One of the things I think is important is that I chose certain things, like I chose the reflectance map, and that ate up a lot of time in the processing. The other thing I did was I processed these on medium, not the highest resolution. I took some still shots of some damage that I have up on my roof. This was the difference between the Mavic and the Phantom 4. You can see how, and I did them both on high winds on different days, but the winds were about the same. I tried to get about 8 feet. The images on the right show the standard resolution at 8 feet. The pictures on the left were zoomed in, so to speak. And in the upper one, it was an optical zoom that the Mavic has. So I zoomed that in and didn't zoom in further with the software program putting this slide together, but I did on the bottom one. So I expanded it. I think the key here is that you do get to see the detail that you need to check on that. Okay, the next one is interesting. I wanted to check out how P4D worked against other vendors. So I got a temporary license for drone deploy. You can see on the left, that's the image of the 2D maps on the bottom and the 3D models on the top. And you can see that the one on the right with P4D, the cloud was quite a bit less resolution, much more grainier on the point cloud, and again, I think that's because I processed it at medium. There's probably a few more things that our Jedi Master Joe can teach me on this. I'm still learning, and I could have tightened up the pictures that you can see on that just slightly. But I think what was key to me is that you have to have the point cloud in order to get a surface area measurement, and I think that you can do just as good with the P4D that we have a license to on the right versus the drone deploy on the left. One of the things I didn't like about drone deploy is it took over 6 hours to process that, whereas on the right it took me an hour and a half, or less. So I think that's probably the key as far as utility when we're teaching people who are going to use this for real. Now down here in Precision Mapper, this is another vendor that has a couple algorithms that you can use to do roofs. I haven't tried that yet. It's really clunky. They talk a big talk, but I basically used some older data with the Inspire that I'd had and processed it. It took about 6 hours to do that as well in Precision Mapper. And again, it's the free version with the 2D on the left and the 3D on the right. terrible. Not convinced this is the best that we can get, but it is. I'd like to go ahead and show you now some of the differences on those. So this is Precision Mapper. You can kind of see if I zoom in, that's about the closest that I can get on the 2D. If I go to the 3D, it'll take a second here, but it allows you to kind of wiggle that around, and you can see how terrible it is. Of course, I could have used probably a better data set than I did, and I might try that again just to see. The information, basically, you can upload it with a new survey. You can do a new survey. This gives you the information and then the available algorithms for that. It says I can do 3D structure, but I could not get it to run. So I'll have to work with them on that. Okay, the next one is Drone Deploy. This is Drone Deploy. I do like its resolution. This is the 3D map. Of course, I can probably use a better set of images, but I'm trying to pick the same location where I put my truck, and doggone, that looks pretty good. And I didn't do any side shots. These are just verticals, and I you can see there's a little bit of hole right there in the roof. So I think that could be done better. This is a roof report, and you're supposed to be able to tap generate, but I've never been able to get it to work. So I might have to contact them just to test that out. They have a whole bunch of different algorithms as well that you can load their applications. You can put the shape files and import it into your John Deere. Whole bunch of different things that they have available to them, as well as the KML. There's Centera and a few other things we've been talking about. So that's Drone Deploy and Precision Mapper and 3D, just kind of on a very low level side by side, and you can see more later when I get more done. Enjoy.